Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Powerful Man Show. I am your host, Doug Holt, with my co-host, Tim, the Powerful Man Matthews. What's going on, brother?
Yes. Yeah, I'm doing well. I've recently moved house, so I'm in this makeshift office, and
I love how concerned you are about your office space. It's so funny, which actually dovetails perfectly into our topic of today.
well, you know how important environment is, right? Yeah.
Environment's incredibly important. I get it. I just like giving you a hard time, man. You know I love you.
This space will be set up in the way that I truly desire, one way or another.
It's awesome. I was actually talking to somebody who does lots of marketing, and they were talking about for podcasters. I was in a studio last week, a professional studio, and they were talking about nowadays you can get covers on your walls with a graphic, so you could get the Wolf the Rose logo, and it would actually be sound dampening, right, to make the sound better than going through. But anyway, we digress a little bit. But speaking about not feeling comfortable in your environment, it kind of dovetails into the topic that we had today to talk about, which we see come up quite often with men, which is how to keep your confidence high when things don't seem to be working out for you, essentially. So what's your experience with that, Tim?
It's a journey, right? I'm just thinking about, it's a bold statement, how to keep your confidence high. For me, it's all about routines. I was actually journaling about this morning. So obviously in the activation method, there's three phases the men move through: the truth, the creed, the pillars. Which the truth leads to peace, the creed leads to power, the pillars leads to flow. Peace, power, flow, that's the foundation, that's territory one of self, right? Part of the truth and peace is being able to detach. And what we mean by detach is to be able to be aware of that voice or that part of you that may, I'll use myself as an example. So when I was thinking about this morning, I've got this little, where's a picture? I'm in a new office, right? So I can't find it. There's this little picture of myself when I'm about 4 years old. And I keep it in front of my desk. And what I've started to do of late is anytime I feel doubtful and or insecure or frustrated, anxious would be a better word, not frustrated, anxious or overwhelmed. For me, where that usually comes from is that side of me, that part of me that, needs to feel safe, needs to feel in control. Because as a child, I felt very unsafe many times. I felt very out of control many times. So, looking back, and again, I was reflecting on this morning, looking back, I used to, one of the habits I had as a kid is I'd tidy my room. It was almost like an OCD thing I'd do, and I know you find this hard to believe, Doug, but I'd have like this OCD tendency, and I'd make sure that everything had of place. It was like my bedroom was my sanctuary, and outside of that bedroom, all right, get over it. Outside of that bedroom, it felt very uncertain. So the bedroom was almost like my comfort zone where I could control things. It was very certain, but then outside of it, it was very uncertain. Now, fast forward to obviously today, been a grown man, a powerful man, may I add. Been a grown man. I am in charge of my own safety, right? I create my own certainty. I create my own confidence. However, if I am not aware of what thoughts or beliefs or emotions are arising within me, because maybe I'm having too much caffeine, maybe I'm not resting enough, maybe I'm not working out, maybe I'm not journaling, maybe I'm not meditating, maybe I'm not doing any one of the many things that I know work for me, then it remains very hard for me to be grounded. And then I get swept away in all of the insecurities. And essentially I become that 4-year-old boy again, but an adult version of it, reacting to things that are going on in the day. I might get a Voxer from you or, a conversation with Amelia, and all of a sudden I'll feel offended or I'll feel a certain way, and then I react. And I'm like, that's interesting. Why am I doing that? Now, you said it in a Voxer yesterday, I think. oh, interesting. Why am I doing that? I'm going to lean into that. And, to have that awareness, to be able to watch what's going on in your own life, watch your own reactions is, oh my God, it's an invaluable skill, an absolute invaluable, and it's a muscle as well. It's like going to the gym. It's not difficult to develop. It just takes practice. And it might sound like it is. It really isn't. It's just a game of awareness, quite frankly. And when you stop doing the things that help you to become aware and be a witness in your own life of what's going on, then you lose it. And that's when you can get swept away and become reactive and become busy and become out of balance and argue with Amelia and reach for the food that I know doesn't serve me, but I'm just trying to fill some emotional void within me, whether it's from a beer or a cocktail or whatever it is. So, in answer to your question, what do I do? Like I say, it's the practices for me that are absolutely key, that allow me to be grounded, that allow me to be, obviously, you guys listening can't see Doug on video, he's sneezing all over the place. So yeah, it's the practices that allow me to stay calm and grounded that then enable me to generate confidence in my actions. Because without the groundedness, the chaos, you can't have confidence and chaos, in my opinion. You can have action and chaos, but you can't truly feel confident. And congruence as well, right? In order for you to have true confidence, you've got to be congruent with who you are. Now, the title of this show is how to keep your confidence high when things are going against you. Things may be going against you, but if you are still being congruent with who you think you are, showing up in the world as the man, the business leader, being honest and truthful and aligned with his values, then regardless of what's going on the outside, it's going to help you to maintain a higher level of confidence because you're not trying to lie to yourself, right? It's when you try and lie to yourself, which is impossible to do, by the way. You can lie to your head, but you just cannot lie to your heart. It's just not possible. Then in that web of lies that you try and weave and escape from, there's no escaping, which again diminishes confidence, right? So just like you're passionate about the end of year review, I'm passionate about this, and I know you're passionate too, and you've been working with the guys in the Brotherhood and really accelerating his level of confidence. But yeah, the foundation is peace, which is the first territory of self.
That's so true. And routines, you're saying that, what I was listening to, I was reflecting about those routines. And when, the routines or lack of things firing on all cylinders, your workouts, your shape, how fit you are, all of how good your relationship's going, those are all factors that throw you out of balance. But when you find yourself in that situation where you're out of balance, then what, right? Obviously, you can go back to the routine, start at the basics, right? In every sport, it's the basics that win. In baseball, we say hitting singles. In soccer or football, depending on what you want to say, it's passing the ball really quickly is the key. It's not bicycle kicks or any fancy moves. But also what happens is really getting into state, right? You can change your emotion at any time. And the question I always ask people, because when people are depressed or angry, they don't want to hear you can change it anytime you want to. It's like BS. You don't know what happened to me. I'm depressed because my wife said I'm fat and ugly or whatever it may be. But the truth is you can. So let me ask you this question as an example, guys, listening to the show right now, is if you won the lottery right now and you got $100 million, do you think that would increase your energy a little bit? Would you get a little excited? Absolutely you would. Your energy would go through the roof. Point being is that energy is always inside of you. That feeling of winning is always inside of you. That feeling of success is always inside of you. That feeling of confidence is always inside of you. So for the men that have been through the alpha reset, it's easier for them because they've been through the whole reset process, reset and reclaim. They've seen who they are. And the key then is going back. Now, for the guys that haven't been through that process, haven't had the advantage of having those optics within themselves, then really what it comes down to is realizing now that you are great and all the things that you have. You are fantastic. And really understanding that the elements of within who you are as a man. And this is what comes down. So go back to the last episode if you haven't listened to it about reviewing the year, but stacking the wins. So what you can do right away is start stacking little wins. little wins in your life right away, things you're good at. So if you don't have a lot of confidence, and the first thing to do is get in state, right? If you don't have access to that because you haven't been through the alpha reset or something else, then the second thing you want to do is go back and start stacking all the wins in your life, and your wins in your day if you can, right? All your gratefuls, things you're grateful for. And it could be just getting up this morning, right? It could be as simple as that. Make them easy, right? Because when you're in the mud, so to speak, it's hard to see all the great things that are going on. But if you start getting momentum, right? Getting leverage, massive leverage on yourself and getting momentum, you can start adding them in, right? There's a lot of people who don't have the benefit of having this audio podcast, right? Or if you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook or wherever it is, they don't have the technology. I mean, they might not have internet connections. Be thankful and grateful for that. Be grateful for the fact you have a job if you do, right? Start stacking all of these things on top of each other and build yourself up. Celebrate your wins. And one of the guys, Tim, I was talking to, I had him go back all the way to when he was a kid and started celebrating the wins he had in sports, right? Little ones. And he started talking about them, and he started getting like youthful and energized, and it was awesome. And we got him out of his funk, and he started to build the confidence. He took that confidence into a negotiation and crushed it. Crushed the sale. And this is a guy who just started a new business. He's in the Brotherhood, and had a lot of doubts. Could he make it? All of his triggers were coming up. People around him. You shouldn't start your own company. All of these things were happening. And he took the stacked confidence that he got, that we did, reassured himself, anchored it, went into the conversation at the sale that he thought he had no chance of, and absolutely crushed it. And he walked out head held high, top of the world. That was always inside of him. That was always there. He just needed to remember that it was there for him.
Yeah, it's interesting because I'm just thinking there's layers to this, right? Because one layer is that you can rely on things to change your state, whether it's anchoring in LRP, power moves, stacking the evidence, which the routines. So obviously we've got the alpha rise and shine routine, the alpha decompression routine. So the routines are almost like greasing the wheels, right? They're almost like the guardrails to make sure you never stray too far off track. Because if you're going to wake up and start your day in a particular way, you're able to then create the type of state that you want to go about the day, rather than waking up, slamming a cup of coffee, and rushing out the door to get to the first meeting. And then you always feel like you're on the back foot versus creating the day that you want, right? And there's a point at which, and again, speaking with one of the guys in the Brotherhood today, I really feel like he's at this point. There's a point at which you rely on things like power moves, in my opinion anyway, things like power moves and state changes in less of a manner, because it simply becomes who you are. Over a period of time with discipline and consistency, and having a system you can actually use as well, because I know it can sometimes, for me anyway, at least, it used to seem like it could require such a huge internal change to shift who I was and how I saw myself in order to have this, unparalleled confidence, if you will. And it was daunting. But then obviously having a system you can turn to alleviates a lot of that, because you don't need to become a new man. You don't need to change who you are. You've already got that guy inside of you, right? We know that to be true, Doug. We see it all the time. And there's a point at which, when you continue to grease the wheels in the morning and evening, the change just becomes who you are. It's like any habit, right? You do it for long enough, and before you know it, it's just unconscious. It's just how you operate. It's who you are. So even when things might feel like they're going against you, even feeling like things are going against you, that feeling doesn't really occur a great deal, does it? Because I'm thinking of this one particular guy in the Brotherhood who I was speaking with today, because he feels so on path with who he is and what he's doing that anything that comes up is just simply the next step, because he can move through it with that confidence instead of getting derailed by it because he was so consumed by what the next deal said about him as a guy, right? So yeah, I think those routines are key, and also having that system, like I said, just to wrap up this point, that system that you can use, that means that this will become automatic instead of relying on willpower every day.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely need to get those things in place. And if you find yourself, guys, listening to this in that situation, right? In that situation where you're feeling down, like life's throwing you some punches and your confidence is down. Maybe it's your spouse and you aren't working out. Your kids don't want to be around you. Business isn't doing well. You look in the mirror and all of a sudden that 21-year-old body isn't there anymore. Whatever it may be, it's time to reclaim who you are and remember your greatness, right? As Tim said, it starts with your habits, right? Your habits make who you are. Now, your habits eventually, they start off sometimes difficult, right? But become standards, right? They become standards of who you are and what you can do. But in this moment of decision, this moment of inquiry that we're having right now, I want you to remember who you are. Remember the greatness that you've achieved. Now, if you're a religious man, then God didn't make mistakes, did he? Or she, or whatever you want to say. If you're not religious, you're atheist or agnostic or whatever it may be, or you're just spiritual, well, the same token is true. There are no real mistakes out there. So if there are no real mistakes, then you're obviously not. And the journey you're going on is building you up for something even better. Maybe that's why you're here listening to Tim and I talk right now. Everything had come together, you're designed to be here. The next step is for you to take action. That's really what it comes down to. Stack the evidence about how great you are. Go back in your past if you need to. Remember those high school days of playing sport. Remember the fact that, if you're a married man, even if things aren't working, there was a time a woman said yes to you, right? She dedicated her life to you, no matter how that turned out, right? Stack the evidence for yourself. Get that anchored. Use NLP techniques if you know how to do that. If you don't, the Alpha Reset is a great place to learn some of these things. So whatever you do, take action. In this moment of inquiry, this is time for you to recall your greatness and you to step up. The world needs more men, more great, powerful men. Doesn't need more boys who just happen to be 30, 40, and 50 years old who have never taken the opportunity to grow up. It needs men. It needs men like you. So this is my charge to you to step up and step into it. And remember, hold your head high. Physiology affects psychology. Hold your head high, shoulders back, chest out. This is your time to shine. Claim your moment.
I love it.
Tim, is there anything else you want to leave these guys with?
One thing, surround yourself as well. I know we always say this, but it's so true. One of the reasons why the guys in the Brotherhood are able to develop the confidence they do is, yeah, sure, they have systems and techniques. And they also surround themselves with other men that are on the same path who are able to reinforce some of this. Because sometimes we don't have enough belief in ourselves. And sometimes you've got to borrow belief from someone who does have belief in you. Sometimes you've got to be reminded, just like Doug's saying right now, about, some of your wins and who you really are and what you do stand for and what you did last week and, how you overcame the smallest of hurdles. But to somebody else, it seemed like it was such a huge thing. So, surround yourself with other men who you respect, who you respect their opinion of, who are going to challenge you and encourage you to play just on your edge, just on the edge of your comfort zone, knowing that, if you fall, they'll catch you and they'll give you a bit of a nudge as well. So whether, or however you find that, I would highly encourage you to find that. It's a game changer.
Love it. Love it. Well, gentlemen, that's a wrap for us at this edition of the Powerful Man Show. If you are finding yourself feeling a bit down, remember your power and who you have. And of course, go over to thealphareset.com if you haven't already to get more information about the Alpha Reset and also get the opportunity to talk to Tim, the Powerful Man himself, after you go through a free training on there. Gentlemen, I'm signing off. Enjoy 2020. It's going to be an amazing year for all of us. We'll see you next time on the Powerful Man Show.